Hello.
Oops. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Let me see. I gotta give me a second so I can get back to my ability to see you. And then we're going to, all right, there you go. So Miss Banks, you muted yourself, correct?
Mm,
Yes.
mm,
And Miss Banks, you're the only one on, correct? Mhm. On Zoom?
yes.
All right. Okay. Well, since you're the only one on, right now I'm streaming it to YouTube too. Can you tell? Is there a delay in anything? No?
No, it lets me know when I logged on that it's being live streamed.
Okay. And it looks okay still?
Yeah.
So I'm about to go live on TikTok. I'm gonna stay here on Zoom as well. And let me see. Look, it's just you and I right now. So even though this is streaming live to the world on YouTube. All right, everybody, it's Judge Dawson. This is Mind Management. Um, so Ms. Banks, my computer, my trusty computer here, I don't have my charger properly. So I don't have access to all my devices, but that's okay. Nevertheless, the show must go on. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, today we are talking about something that's very important. The general topic that we've had many, many times is mind management. Because as a judge, what I have determined is that one of the reasons that we get in trouble, one of the reasons that we fall out of line with the law is because we do not properly, effectively, and actively manage our mental, our minds, the brain, our thoughts, our actions. They're all connected. And when we don't properly manage the mind, we end up putting ourselves in situations that could be to your detriment. Now, don't get me wrong. We all make mistakes. Nobody is perfect. We're all human. But what I'm talking about is your ability to make good decisions, your ability to make reasoned decisions. It starts with the intent to manage your mind. So through these platforms on Wednesdays, my goal is to talk with everyone about ways that you can manage your mind because it's not enough for me to be a judge who can give you jail time, who can give you financial penalties and things like that. It's more important for me to use this platform and this opportunity to share with you the lessons and the wisdom that I have gained over all these years of practicing law and being a judge. Some of you know I've been practicing law now for over 23 years. Man, it's a long time. And I've been a judge now for 13 years. This is my 13th year. So if I haven't gained any wisdom or knowledge, then I've just been wasting time. But those who know me, you know I don't waste time. So it's all about sharing the knowledge. So that's what we're going to do. For those who are on TikTok, just so you know, I am also broadcasting this on YouTube. So if you are not following me on YouTube, go to @JudgeDawson so that we can stay connected, as well as Instagram. Same thing @JudgeDawson, because you never know how long these platforms are going to last, right? You don't know how long it's going to be, especially TikTok, because there's that looming threat from America. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, let's get right into it. Today, I want to talk to you about patience. Um, Let me give you an example of how I had to tap into my patience. On Monday, I had hearings. And in fact, I think if you were on TikTok, I might have broadcast my court session live. But on Monday, there was a person who was before me, and that person had an old case, and we resolved it. And he gave me documentation that indicated that he had been incarcerated for a number of years. What I normally do is when I get information that someone has been incarcerated, I then ask myself, Judge Dawson, how can you help this person? How can you bless this person? Is there anything you can do to lighten the load? Because the person's already spent time in incarceration. So that's my bend already. The next level is how do you interact with me so that you can get those blessings? So, ladies and gentlemen, that's lesson number one. Lesson number one is when you're dealing with mind management, always think of positioning yourself for the best outcome. Always try to figure out how can you position yourself so that you have the best outcome. Like, you don't control police officers when they turn you over. I mean, pull you over. Knock on wood, pull you over. You don't control what happens in the court when you are before a judge. You don't control how the prosecutor is going to charge you. But what you do control is how you interact with everybody involved. So the first lesson is you got to always position yourself to get the best outcome. So I'm handling this case. I read that the guy's been incarcerated. So I'm already thinking about blessing him. But then now it's the next level. How is this interaction going to go? How are we going to have our exchange? Is it going to be something that's respectful so that I feel more inclined to bless this gentleman? Or is it going to be disrespectful to the point where I don't want to look out for him? And that, ladies and gentlemen, is an example of mind management. So that's the step number one. So make this adjustment here on this other platform, see if this works a little better for Ms. Banks. So here we go. The person is in my courtroom, right? And he begins to talk to me about his cases. So what I do is I say to him, you know what? I'm going to look out for you. I'm going to lower your fines and costs. I'm going to give you all these opportunities, right? Because you've been incarcerated and I want to look out for you. So the guy goes to the clerk's window and he begins the process of negotiating his or paying his fines and costs. So I'm sitting back in my chambers and I hear a ruckus. I hear arguing, I hear loud talking. So I go to the window because I'm the type of judge that likes to de-escalate situations as much as I can and as often as I can. So I go to the window, and here is the same guy that I had given a break to arguing with my team about his fines and costs. So mind management for me, I had to employ patience right there because he's getting loud with my team, and here I am now at the door with him. So he says, Judge, you know, I've been incarcerated, Judge, da, da, da. And I said, but if you recall, I gave you credit for that. I looked out for you already. And guess what? I didn't have to. Ladies and gentlemen, position yourself for greatness, understanding that people don't have to give you what you want. People don't have to give you the love that you think you deserve. Your boss doesn't have to give you the raise that you think you're entitled to, but you should still position yourself for greatness. So if you ever find yourself in front of a judge, if you ever find yourself being pulled over by a police officer, if you ever find yourself in a debate or a disagreement with your supervisor, it's up to you to show your greatest self because it's you who cares about your outcome. And the way that you do that is through patience in the moment. So I'm talking to the guy and I let that all go down. And I finally say, look, guy, look, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to look out for you because that's what I want to do at this point. So I gave him the opportunity to get on a payment plan, and I even lowered how much he owes me. But let me tell you how that all relates to patience. There's going to be a video that's going to be up on the School of Transformation. Some of you know our probation department that we used to have. Now it's called the School of Transformation. It's ran by myself and a woman named Tierra Banks. If you are on TikTok, go check her out, or Instagram is I am Tierra Banks, one of the partners here in the program. And we talked about patience. We talked about mind management and patience. And ladies and gentlemen, something was revealed to me that was very powerful. And let me explain this to you. What happens in regard to patience is that many times, one of the reasons we don't have patience is because we let things annoy us, or we let things get on our nerves, right? So think about it. This guy was in my courtroom. I gave him a break, and you can tell I'm messing with my phone, so bear with me. I gave him a break, and then he went to my clerk's office and started making a ruckus. You only knew what I'm trying to do, guys. Hold on. So I had to employ a lot of patience, Ms. Banks. I hope you're being patient with me with this phone. I had to employ a lot of patience because the guy had got on my nerves, right? He disrespected me. He disrespected my court. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the way that you find patience. So I'm going to get to the meat of our conversation, and then I'm going to take some questions. Find out what it is that annoys you or gets on your nerves or makes you uncomfortable. And then figure out, why does that make you uncomfortable? So let me give you an example. Some of you don't have patience with your kids, right? Let's be honest. Some of you don't have patience with your kids. Something that your kid does gets on your nerves. The question is, why? Why does it get on your nerve, right? Or your grandkids. Yeah, I see somebody say or your spouse. Oh my gosh, okay. Somebody said they don't have patience with their spouse. Okay, now I'm engaging with my TikTok crowd. Someone says they don't like the children talking over them. Okay. The grown-ass man that I'm raising. All right, I get it. So let me ask you this. Why is it, or why would you not like the kids talking over you? Someone says my coworkers, or not listening. Now, I'm going to submit to you that it comes down to a matter of respect. And maybe you don't like to be disrespected. Follow me. There we go. Somebody put there. Disrespected. I feel disrespected. Okay, follow me. Here we go. You're annoyed when your kids, you're annoyed by your kids speaking over you or not listening. Why? Because you feel disrespected. The next level is, how can you and I deal with the feeling of being disrespected? See? So what I did was I took an area of annoyance and brought it all the way over to something that you and I can do to control it. Because remember, at the end of the day, many times you can't change people, but you can change yourself, right? You can ask people to change, you can suggest that they change, but the one person you definitely can change is yourself. Look, I'm a judge. I put people on probation. I give them programs to complete. I tell them, hey, if you don't do what I tell you to do, you're going to jail. Do you think that matters to some people? Unfortunately, it doesn't. Let me give you another example. Protection orders. I'll tell a person, hey, you can't call your girlfriend. And what do? They go right out of court and call their girlfriend. So the bottom line is, you can't always change other people, but you can change yourself. So we're talking about patience. Let's go back to this example. Your kids get on your nerves. You don't like them speaking over you, or you don't like taking care of that spouse, or the spouse gets on your nerves. The question is, why? How does that make you feel? Because therein lies your power. Because we can work on how we feel better than we can work on how they try to make us feel. See, that's where the power is. And that's how we gain patience. And then there's another beautiful theory, whether it's biblical or just philosophy that's going around. The bottom line is, when you ask God to help you with something, or when you ask the universe, some of you say, universe, help me. When you ask for that, how do you think you're going to get the help? You're going to get it by way of training so that you can make it through it. You don't always get things eliminated. If you don't have patience now, best believe you will not living a life with nobody getting on your nerves. You're going to have to figure out how to make it through, right? You're going to have to figure out, how do I deal with this situation? So in order to gain more patience, your patience will be tried. When I'm sitting on this bench as a judge and I have people disrespect me, I have two options. I can throw them in jail, or I can employ a little patience. I'm saying today, the better part of us, the greater part of ourselves, is to employ a little bit of patience. All right. I'm going to answer a few questions. Again, I always let you know that if you're not following me on my platforms, it is at Judge Dawson on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Everything is at Judge Dawson. So let's connect, because the way that the world is going, everybody's trying to play different games. It's getting harder to connect with people, though it seems easier. It's getting more difficult. I haven't sent my email out in a while because I have to do some things to get that back in line with the new standards. So don't think I forgot you with my emails. But yes, let's answer some questions. That would be a violation under color of law. So I'm curious of what that person's question was, because I missed it. Have you ever had any physical fights in my courtroom? Yes. Yes, I have. And even in those instances, right, you got to act fast, but I'm still trying to be patient. I'm trying to understand that, hey, everyone's emotions are high. People get upset. Maybe they don't mean to disrespect me, but that's what's happening. Do you uphold our Constitution? You can't jail someone for disrespecting you. It's the First Amendment. Thank you, lawyer. That's all my response is. My response to the TikTok, Instagram, and internet lawyers are thank you. You learned a lot in your law school. So, next question. Or a real question, at least. Who's policing the police? That's a good question. Mostly it should be internal affairs, but I will tell you this. One of the things you want to do when you're dealing with police officers, make sure that you file complaints if you feel that they've wronged you. Because eventually, even if you say, well, nobody does anything, the system doesn't do anything, eventually, if you go ahead and notice that someone has several complaints filed against them, somebody's going to have to respond. What is the law, the rules about the new cannabis law that started December last year? Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. The new cannabis laws in Ohio, they are very, very tricky, right? So you can smoke marijuana, you can have marijuana. Certain places can sell it, but those places have not been designated yet. You can give it away, but you can't sell it to your friends. I mean, it's so crazy, right? There are some places where you can smoke in public and others that you can't. It's really all convoluted. And it's really an example of what I call the legal matrix. How the laws are, maybe they're well-intended. I don't know, because a lot of times these laws are not well-intended because they're going to be victims that people know are going to be victims. But that can be it. What do I think will happen in Congress in regard to TikTok? You know, I can't call it. I have a feeling, well, President Biden already said that if the bill comes across his desk to ban TikTok, he will. So I'm not sure. But it's an example of, to me, you know, there's so much going on in our world that so many people are distracted by things that are not as important as other things. So that's my general impression about it all. All right, let me see another question. Is Diddy going to prison? I don't think so. Can I speak on the election? Which election? The one that's coming up? You know what? Let me tell you this. I'll tell you how I feel about the election. I do not support hate talk, or divisiveness in any form. So I'd rather have a leader who is old as can be, surrounded by sharp people, not spewing hate. That's my position on that. All right, let me see. Last couple of questions. We have about 5 minutes left. Remember, our general topic today for Mind Management Wednesdays was the issue or the topic of patience. And if you're just now logging on, again, the way that you develop patience is to figure out or use an example of something that annoys you, something that you lose your patience with. Then ask yourself, why does that bother me? And then the third step is within that why, that's where your work needs to be done. We have to figure out, how do you make it through this situation so that you are not being annoyed by that particular act? Because the only thing that you can change at the end of the day is you. Someone said, do I love what I do? Absolutely. I absolutely love it. Somebody said, that's 100%. I'm learning that about myself. Absolutely. Really important. Yes, emotional intelligence and emotional maturity is important. One thing I do want to mention, there was a post that I put up the other day, and I think it was one of the cases where I had someone who was in front of the court for disorderly conduct. Just understand that disorderly conduct, and this is something I want to throw out there for you, spans many different offenses. Disorderly conduct could be you disrupting a meeting. It could be being aggressive during an arrest. It could be being loud, abrasive, or insightful to violence. So when people say, you can say what you want to say, no, you can't. And that's another thing that's important to know. For all of you buffs out there who got your law degree from, I don't know, Cracker Jack box, right? And let me tell you why it's important that I say that. Because you have an opportunity to speak to a judge. You have an opportunity right now to interact with somebody who's been doing this thing for 20 plus years. So it's very presumptuous to get on this platform and tell me about the law. I'm not saying I know everything, but come on, I know some stuff, right? So yes, you can be arrested for saying certain things and being disrespectful in certain venues. The First Amendment does not cover inciting violence or inciting criminal activity. I'm just trying to help y'all out. All right, what do you do about a DUI with no video proof? So if a DUI doesn't have video proof, then it comes down to testimonial proof, right? The testimony of the officer, the testimony of the person that is being charged. That's what it comes down to. Right. My jerry rigged, my little system up here failed. Ms. Banks, maybe I got another way to do it because I think you were logging on. Here's another way to do it. All right, last question. Do I forgive people? Absolutely, always, every single day. Are cops or detectives allowed to lie? Never. What is my favorite law history story? Ooh, that's a good question. Wow. What is my favorite legal history story? You got me on that one. Anything, probably, honestly, anything to do with civil rights. Anything that deals with the ability for people to have civil rights and how that has evolved in our country. Those would be my best stories. All right. Any other questions? You see, I'm still working with this view on Zoom. Sorry about that. What made me go into law? I wanted the challenge of law school, and I wanted to be able to help people. And more importantly, I wanted to help people break cycles, right? So first, I was a criminal defense attorney for many years, but then I got tired of that because it wasn't helping people actually be the best that they can be. I was just winning cases. How do you remain unbiased? I remain unbiased by never forgetting where I come from, never forgetting my blessings, and never forgetting that but for the grace of God, right, let's keep it real, I could be standing anywhere charged with any crime, just like anybody else. That's what I try to do. All right, look, I'm about to roll. I will be back tomorrow to do some live court If you're not following me on TikTok, Instagram, or Zoom, or YouTube, all those things, it's at Judge Dawson. All right. So I don't want to leave here without revisiting the purpose of this broadcast. Wednesdays, I try to be a mentor to all. I try to give you information that you can use. I try to give you wisdom from my years of experience. Patience is so important, ladies and gentlemen. Patience when you're driving, patience when you're dealing with your family, patience when you're in the courtroom. Patience can be the difference between you going to jail and staying out. Patience can be the difference between you losing your life in an argument or walking away unharmed. All right. Talk to you soon. Be blessed.
Hi, Judge.
Hey, Ms. Bank.
Hi. I think you had, so I believe Amber Campbell is here with you from the court. And also, there was another gentleman on here. I believe his name was Frank McDonald or
Okay.
Dow.
Let me ask you a
He,
question
he logged off. Are you talking to Amber or myself?
for you.
Okay.
Amber, I'm just, so I normally do this from the computer, but the computer has some issues this morning. I think the view was better because you noticed that I knocked my thing down a couple times. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, it fell down a couple of times. I'm not sure if any of the views that you and Amber had were satisfactory.
Yeah, they were. And I think my preferred view was the one where it looked like you may have had it on top of another device, like you were sitting just straight on.
Right. Okay. So it was on the pad.
Miss Campbell, do you have any questions for the judge while you're on? If not, we can.
No, I don't have any questions. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Ms. Campbell, were you able to get the information I talked about on patience?
Can you say that again? I'm sorry, I can't really
Were
hear
you
you.
able to hear the information on patience that I talked about?
I came in a little late, so I didn't get a lot of information.
Okay, that's okay because I'm gonna be uploading something to the School of Transformation really shortly on that. So thank you for logging in. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Take care.
All right, Miss Campbell, you can log off. Thank you for being here today.
Uh,
Did you stop?